And so this right now is March Madness. This is March 1st. This is 2020. Colin Sharpe, guest speaker, Silver Cup champion, nationally ranked #1 representative. Career sales. What's your career sales at right now, Colin?
I'm at 955.
$955,000 in Cutco sales. Last year to win your Silver Cup, what did you sell?
I sold 367.
The $367,000 in 1 year, which is an average of 1,000 a day. If you do the math on that, Colin's about to give you the goods on mapping out and finishing off week 2 of the March Madness push. The floor is yours, brother. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to influence. By the way, just for the record, Colin does not sell for our team. He's not a game changer. He works for the Orlando organization, but he is out of the kindness of his heart willing to help our team with our push right now. So he has no benefit to this at all other than he is willing to give advice to strangers on how to get good at selling Cutco. So pens and paper ready. Let's do this thing. So it's all yours, brother. Thank you again so much. We appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. I'm going to actually pull over so I can concentrate as much as possible here. So if we want to start, go ahead and do it interview style. Ask me 2 or 3 questions. Let me pull over here, and I'm going to get us some 100% focus, okay?
Dude, thank you so much, man. I'll tell you, the biggest thing right now, we could do it interview style the whole time, whatever works for you, but you sold $367,000. I know during the year there's several pushes. There's several peak times where you probably sell more than others. I have brand new reps that are brand new that just started this weekend, and I have reps that have been here for 3 years right now. So some of them have gone through pushes, some of them haven't. Why do you what do pushes do for your business, whether it's SC2, SC1, during specific pushes? What have pushes done for your business specifically?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I think when I think about a push and when I go into a push, the number one thing that's on my mind is how can I increase my capacity? I really think that once we expand ourselves and our limits and our beliefs to a new level, we can never really shrink back to the old version of ourselves. So when I'm going into push, I'm thinking about how can I do something that I never even thought was possible. Really, my year last year was mostly a push, right? I mean, there were certain months where I was selling, in February and April, July and December, those 4 specific months where I was selling 50,000 that month. And so, it was over 10K a week average. And so it just kind of felt like a push the entire time. I think this is a much better place where I can be. So when I think about a push, how can I live the level 10 version of myself that I really ultimately want to be? And what does that level 10 version look like? How am I treating I think there's some components that I always look at when I'm looking for high performance. One of the biggest ones is how to increase my energy. If you're looking at number 1, I'm going to go into energy. I talk about this a lot. Anybody that's heard me speak talks about how to treat our body and our mind right. With proper nutrition, rest, and proper expectations and thinking that can increase our energy and our ability to influence our customers and ourselves. So I think energy is something that, what's awesome is I can do everything right for a short burst of time. And then I see what kind of person that makes me. And now I might not be perfect after that push, but I'm that much better at following the way that I know I'm supposed to live. So I love that part. Number 1, increasing energy. We can get into that a little bit. Number 2, a lot of times a push forces you to work when you don't feel like working. So, a lot of times during the week, like for instance, this weekend, I worked Saturday and Sunday, and a lot of times I'll work on Monday and I'll work really long days. I mean, I'll work a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row. And then, I'll take a day off and I'll just totally chill and catch up on my life. But during a push, I don't get that chance to really take that chill day. So it's just grind. And then, so let's say that I had 10 and 20K weeks during those pushes. Now, when I come out of that push, it's so much easier to keep pushing myself past that limit. It's almost like when you work out, if you've ever worked out only on your own, or if you're ever on a sports team, right? When you're on a sports team, you always get pushed a little bit past your limit in certain workouts because you want to achieve a certain level or you're competing with certain people or especially like in a competition in a game, right? When a lot is on the line, you go much harder than you normally would when nothing's on the line. So then, you know, when you go and it's just practice, well, you've had that experience of going so much harder than normal that you never just go back to the old you. You're now, you know, you've increased that capacity. So, you know, I look at life like, how can I increase my capacity at such a level that my 3 out of 10 effort is still a 15 out of 10 effort for normal people. So I'd say that's one of the main things from energy and capacity. And I think the last thing I love about Push is it's a time where I can compete apples to apples with my peers, and I can really make a statement and stand out in a way. So, you know, during the year, you know, I'll have a good week because I had a good show. You know, Ray Reed will have a good week because he had a good show. But during a push, neither of us have good shows. It's just like, hey, who is the top dog right now? And it's an even competition. So when one of us comes out ahead on our CSP team, you know, that's a lot of clout and a lot of bragging rights that we wouldn't normally get because our businesses fluctuate so much throughout the year with our schedules and how we do our business.
Yeah, and Colin, I love what you said with energy management because you know that's relative to no matter where anyone is at, whether they're selling Cutco or like you said, sports or anything. I'm very curious on this. You said there's some months where you'll sell 50,000 in a month. Now, obviously, now in your mind, 50,000 a month that you've done that before, but when you were brand new, maybe it was 5,000 in a month, right? It was like a large month. So regardless of like what's considered big, right? Whether it's 50,000 or 5,000 in a month, if they wanted to go out in the version of they are right now, like who they are right now, and if they wanted to have a multiple grand day, because to some of them, $1,000 in a day might still seem like a lot, but if they wanted to go out and have a grand day or 3 grand day or 5 grand day, you know, just something. What is something that you did to kind of level up your thinking of what's considered a big day or a grand day or a large day? And what can they do, number one, mentality-wise, to help large days happen? Number two is skill set-wise. What can they do to make large days happen?
Yeah, so I love that you asked that question because this is something I talked about a lot. I did, I'll send you a follow-up interview I did with Josh Mueller. He did a Conversations with Champions interview with me and featured me in a series last year. And we talked a lot about the proper environment, which contributes to this a lot. But when we talk about the thinking and about the goals, so one thing I learned last year is some people don't like this mentality and don't agree with it, but it really works, is I'm not really a fan of setting goals. So let me explain. So, I mean, I have outcomes, right? There's a difference. Like I have an outcome, an ideal outcome, something that I really, really want, but I'm not a fan of setting a goal and then breaking down the goal and how many appointments and how many phone calls and all this arbitrary stuff because here's the thing when you have a goal and when you're chasing something. I don't know if you guys have ever been, you had a goal for something and maybe it's a bigger goal than you ever thought and you were on pace for that goal early, right? We see these people that come out the gates and they're trying to have a 10K push and their first day they sell 3K. Well, now in their mind, they've sold so much more than they thought they would that their foot goes right on the brakes. And sometimes these people never even sell 10K in 17 days when their first day was 3K, right? Because they're like, oh, it's in the bag. I'm good. I can pump on the brakes. So on the contrary, sometimes you're so far behind your goal that now you feel this pressure and this terrible feeling that really stymies results that makes you think much more scarce than abundant. And now you interact with customers differently where you need that sale and you're pushing for selling that ultimate that you really want. And you're not serving the customer or serving the situation. You're only serving yourself. And therefore, you're going to have a string of no sales and terrible interactions with customers. And they're going to feel not the way that they're supposed to feel when you just treat them properly. So instead of setting goals, I know what I really want, or really I'll say what I'm minimum going to do. But then I let all of that go. I'm not attached to that at all. I don't have any activity goals. My goal now is to maximize my schedule with the hardest work I possibly can during every hour that I possibly can. And I'm not going to limit myself to saying, I want to sell 1,000 a day. Because if I think about it in my mind, I want to sell 1,000 a day, I'm not going to subconsciously present a package to a customer that's $5,000 to $10,000 potentially. I might walk into a house and completely miss the biggest order of my life because all I wanted today was $1,000, or all I wanted this week was $10,000. I mean, I had a Cutco kitchen last year that I sold in November, and it's 8,000 CPO. So I didn't go into that day thinking, let me go sell 5,000. If I did, I probably would have never even presented that $10,000 package to someone, right? So I really think the goals limit you and they don't really serve you. So you want to know what you want, and then you want to let it go, and you want to just do your very, very best to maximize every single interaction and every single order that you're getting from a customer to sell as much as humanly possible in the shortest amount of time. So it's not like, hey, I want to go sell 5K today. It's that, hey, I want to do 10 appointments or 7 appointments, and I'm going to let whatever happens take care of it. Whether I sell an ultimate on my first appointment or I have 5 no sales to start the day, I still have 3 or 4 appointments to sell more than I ever thought possible. So I encourage you guys not to think about 5,000 being a good week. I encourage you guys to think about, like, each customer has the potential to order $10,000, and everybody has the money. So whether, that's why, like, I'm not just showing knives, I'm showing cookware, I'm showing flatware, and I've worked a lot on perfecting scripts that allow me to bundle these things together. There's a really, really easy way to present those things that you can do at any level. If you want, I could give you literally the shortest cookware. It's a 2-minute cookware way to sell cookware immediately without even having a pan. That's what we do at the booth. I learned it from Jason Jeffrey. And when you put these components together, you sell more than you ever could have thought possible. So I really believe in not limiting yourself and thinking abundantly, like what would someone that's selling 500,000 to $1 million in a year in our business, how would they treat this customer right now? How would they approach this interaction, and how would they maximize it? So that's really my answer. Like, I don't limit myself with what I want to sell or what I think I can sell. I just want to do my very, very best, and I'm going to learn the material and the scripts from the very, very best so that I might surprise myself. And I did last year. My goal was 250, and I sold 367. So I think, and that's because I didn't think about 250. I didn't think about this much per day and this much per week. I just went out there and I worked my hardest and worked my best and did my best.
Love that. I love that answer. So this is a great follow-up question to this. We got to make sure that they fill out their schedules with appointments. So say now they have the energy and they are in this abundant mindset where whoever I'm in front of, I'm going to serve them at the highest level. If they wanted to fill up that schedule with a lot of appointments, what would be your best advice to get a customer to give you 20, 30, or 40 more recommendations or more leads, or like how to fill up that schedule with prospects, not just suspects? What would be your best advice for anybody that's listening to get an abundant amount of people that they could fill up that schedule with, so they can bring this mindset and this energy into their business?
Well, so that's a great follow-up, because if you're serving people for yourself, they don't want to introduce you to their friends because you're a pushy salesperson. Like, I don't want you at my friend's house. So they're going to give you some stupid excuse as to why they can't give you referrals. Trust me, the people that give you referrals, it's not your customer's fault, it's your fault. So that means you're doing something wrong to that customer, and you're trying to serve yourself instead of serving them. So when I work with a customer, I don't ask them for referrals. They get out their phone and they're like, oh my God, you've been so amazing. I cannot wait for you to work with my daughter and my friends and my neighbors. Like, how can I help you? How can I introduce you to more people? Because you've really taken care of me, and you've served my interests, not your own. So if we're talking about serving our client, that comes from a place of, like, I don't go in there and I'm like, hey, here's this Cutco kitchen that you really need. I go in there and I say, hey, what are the types of things that you're cooking? What do you have right now? How does that make you, like, how can I be a doctor that's identifying some sort of problem that I can diagnose and then offer a real life solution that makes a lot of sense? So, I'll tell someone straight up, like, are you grilling? Are you barbecuing? Do you entertain? How many people sit around the dinner table? Okay. Do you like the biggest and best of everything? All right, then just to be perfectly frank with you, I don't think this ultimate set is for you. I'd be doing you a disservice if I really tried to sell you this right now. So I'm going to present the knives in the ultimate and give them a chance to see it. Of course, I'm not, but as soon as I see any sort of reaction that I knew was coming anyway, I'm like, you know what? This set is more than you need. Okay. I'm just going to skip a couple steps. Let me show you something that's a little bit more practical. And people really feel that and they identify with that. And that's why I sell a lot of homemakers and a lot of signatures and a lot of galleys is because a lot of times I'm taking that person that normally would feel pushed into something and presented something that wasn't right for them. And instead I'm catering something that's perfect for them. And, I'm trying to build a business where people buy from me multiple times a year. So I'm trying to build something where they're like, this guy was awesome. He served us. He sold me something perfectly in my budget that we use every single day. We love every single knife. I mean, I don't think anybody needs anything less than a homemaker. I find a homemaker to be it's only 8 knives. It's really not a big deal. So like, you need a meat knife, you need a carving knife, you need a bread, like every knife set in the world has those knives. So it's not like weird, right? So it's a very approachable set. So a lot of times if I'm selling someone a homemaker, because it's a couple that has maybe 2 kids at the dinner table and they're just getting into this and, they told me their budget's only $200, $250 a month, then it's not right for me to try to sell them something that I want to sell them because I'm in a push, right? So I think serving the customer. So how do we diagnose problems? The main thing I'm asking people when we're going about this is, follow your manual, but instead of when I'm like, hey, the next knife is your trimmer, I'm just asking, hey, do you ever cut tomatoes and cucumbers and lemons and limes sometimes? Oh my gosh, you have to check out this knife. It's perfect for you, right? Hey, are you ever spreading a sandwich or like, do you cook casserole, lasagna, pizza, brownies? Oh, you're going to love this thing, blah, blah. So it's like I'm asking them a question. So now they've sold themselves. And so like we don't pitch products, we find solutions. So we don't say, check this out. It's so cool. It does this and this. And oh my gosh, you're going to love it. Instead, I'm like, hey, do you blank? Oh, well, okay. If you're doing that, you're going to use this all the time. Check this out. And so they've actually answered that they'll use it first without me pitching like a salesy person. People don't really ever look at me when I'm saying something as like a salesman. They look at me like I'm a professional that really knows what I'm talking about, that's solving something. And I'm not saying anything different than your training manual for names and uses. It's all the basic stuff. Like people think I do something crazy. I just work really hard and see good people. It's not a hard equation,
So Colin, they got the energy. They're thinking big. They're providing great service for the customers. What percentage of your orders are on a 5-pay plan or a monthly installment plan versus paid in full? If you had to guess a percentage.
Well, here's the interesting thing. I don't show the 5-pay right away because it's a perfect drop-down option. So a lot of times the homemaker's $1,326 and they're like, oh, okay, well, we have to think about it, or, oh, that's too much money, blah, blah. Okay, you know what? I want to do something special for you. I understand that like maybe that's a lot to spend at once. What if I did this for you? Like it's like framed like it's special. You know what I'll do? I'll just let you break it up. Just here's all you have to do. Give me 20% down on this set. I'll go ahead and have Cutco ship you that set instead of you having to wait to pay the rest. And then we'll just break it up into 4 more payments. I won't charge you any interest on that. We won't run your credit. We'll just do a free payment just to make it easier for you. So do you think that maybe $265 is a little bit easier for you instead? And so people feel a little bit better. So you use it as a drop down, like an extra, instead of just like, hey, you can do that and this, and it's like too much information and it kind of kills so now I don't have to drop the price or offer more free stuff. I can use the 5-pay. So there's 2 customers. There's a customer that pays in full. Okay, well, if a customer's paying in full on a homemaker, then I'm pitching them cookware immediately. Because if they buy a homemaker and cookware on a 5-pay, it's going to cost the same as them paying the homemaker in full today. So I know that there's so much left that I'm going to sell them that after we start writing up that order and after I get their credit card, I'm going to be like, you know what? I almost forgot. Like, do you mind if I check out how your pots and pans look real quick? And I go in their kitchen, I pull their pans drawer out, and I'm like, guys, I hate to break it to you, but you're definitely in the market for pans. And I know you might not expect it to be doing that, and you're already spending $1,300, but do you mind if I just tell you a little bit about Cutco cookware? Because it's our original product. And I'm going to go right into it. And a lot of times that's where you close that. So if you're not selling it on the 5-pay, you're leaving probably thousands of CPO on the table with that customer because they can definitely afford it.
Mm. Well, what are your favorite questions to ask for the sale? My last question for you, Colin, because I know you got to get back on the road. So if your customer already was unsure 2 or 3 times, what are some of the questions you like to ask to sound confident, but also still to be assertive and also feel comfortable after they were unsure a couple of times?
Yeah. Before we get into that, do you mind if I touch on energy while it's fresh? I
Please,
want to,
please.
I want to tell you guys, like, I'm going to say this, and this is bold, and I mean it. If you're eating fast food and drinking soda and not sleeping right, you're killing every single ounce of potential that exists within you. Okay. Like, you cannot influence people if you're tired and feel like crap and are eating crap. So I don't care if you're a picky eater or whatever excuse is, or you don't have time, or you don't know how to cook. Like, that's all the most bull excuse I've ever heard. I'm really, really adamant on this. Eat your salads, sleep when you're supposed to, eat your fruit in the morning, and not your like fast food. Like, never go to McDonald's again in your life. Like, don't put soda in you, put water in you. Don't drink Gatorades and sugary just crap. Like, go on the Google for 5 minutes and say, how do I eat super healthy? And then just do it. And then you're going to have more energy. You're going to like, I'm still fired up because I ate healthy today, right? I worked all day. I mean, like, literally got up in the morning, super, super early these last 3 days in a row. I just came back from the Dominican Republic for 5 days. So I've been traveling all over the place. And, you know, I worked all day. It was a lot of energy. We broke down a booth. I'm driving 3 hours home, and I just am like high on life because I ate healthy and I drank a lot of water and I didn't put any crap in my body. So if you want to perform during this push and not get tired and not need more sleep and everything, then don't cheat on your diet and what you put in your body. Like, 99% of what I eat is clean. I still go out to a nice steak dinner when I want, or maybe I do cheat and I'll have some ice cream or whatever. But when I'm working, there is nothing but healthy. Like, so here's some things you can eat. Nuts and trail mix, really, really good for you. In the morning, nothing that has carbs unless it's fruit. You have to have high protein, high fat, and you'll feel amazing. So my typical breakfast is avocado and eggs. It's amazing. It's perfect. I don't care if you like it or not. You'll feel amazing. And when you feel amazing, you do amazing and you sell more. For lunch, if you like, a lot of times I'll skip lunch. I'll have like nuts and maybe a fiber bar and something super, super light because I don't want to get heavy and tired for my next appointment. And then when I'm done with my appointments and I get home, maybe I'll splurge on a dinner. I'll eat something really nice that isn't super great for me. But that's because all day I was really disciplined and I only drank water, maybe like a coffee if I really need it. But even then, I don't even like to drink coffee because I don't like to spike my energy up and down. So I have to touch on energy. And then if you want to really have a lot of energy, get your blood pumping in the morning. Your brain is dependent on how efficiently your blood is pumping. So I don't care if you have to do 10 push-ups in the morning or sprint a block or go for a walk with your dog or whatever your way of getting your blood pumping and getting winded for a short amount of time. It takes 5 minutes. It's not that hard. If you don't do that, your brain doesn't work as effectively. Your brain has to warm up now throughout the day. So, you know, if someone is not working out at all, eating crap, drinking sugary things, like, your push was over before it started. And I swear, like, I've done it before. I've had bad pushes and that's what I did. And every time that I perform well, I treat myself right and my body right. So that might sound aggressive, but if anybody mentors with me, you know, I run a mentorship program. Anybody that's trying to sell a lot, you know, quantum leaps over 100,000 a year, 200,000 a year. The number one thing that I tell them is, like, you cannot work with me if you don't eat healthy and can't commit to a healthy lifestyle, because you won't hit any of the goals. So I'm really strong on that because that's the biggest difference in my year last year was I treat myself right. And it literally just works. It works every time. Like, every time I do it right, I feel amazing. I sell a lot. And then I wanted to answer your other question. What was your question?
The question is, how do you ask after they're unsure a couple of times? How do you frame it to still sound confident, but also help the customer feel comfortable?
Yeah. So a lot of times when people say no to something, it's just because they need a minute to process something. So I want you to think about it like this. Everybody always says no to the first offer, not because they can't do it or don't want to do it, but because their brain just hasn't caught up to this yet. Okay. So we all want to think about it. So whatever excuse they say, whatever they say, whether they say money, talk to my husband, none of those reasons are ever actually usually the reason. It's just that when someone says no to a salesperson, no matter how much they want it, their resistance to you right now is super, super high, right? They're like a 10 out of 10 resistance. So anything you say in that moment is completely irrelevant and will not work. There's no one-liner that will convince that no to be a yes right now. So what I do when someone says no is I circle back and I'm like, hey, no problem. Completely understand. I'm sure you didn't expect to buy knives today, right? I mean, you didn't like, hey, Colin's coming over. Let's go drop $1,000 on knives. Like, I know that's not normal. Okay. So usually it boils down to two things. So like if I notice I have to slow play it, I'm going to say, hey, so if you want, I can write down this deal for you real quick. This really works. And this is maybe an abstract thing. I don't know if you've taught this, but I've noticed it really works because it works every time. And you don't have to like memorize a bunch of objection handling, because it's always the same two objections it comes down to, right? The two objections are too much money or not the right set. So I'll say, do you want me to write that down real quick for you so you have something to think about? Everybody says yes. Oh my gosh. Now you're the cool salesperson. You're not the pushy guy that says, oh, well, but like, what is it? Too much money or what? And like, then they're like, dude, like, get out of here. You're a salesperson now. Like, I don't even like you. So, right. So this rebuttal just doesn't work. So I'm like, okay, so what should I write down? What are you guys actually considering? And now I'm flushing out, is this what they want? Sometimes right there, they like you. Now they're going to be honest with you. They're going to say, well, maybe not this. I mean, it is kind of a lot of knives. Do you have anything that's smaller? And then I'm like, okay, awesome. I can drop down right away. I know I'm supposed to drop down. Or they're like, no, this is the set we want. This is exactly, we love it. Okay, awesome. I'm going to write down a homemaker set with the table knives. Cool. So now if you didn't ask that and you drop down to a galley, you're actually doing the customer a disservice. So you think it's just too much money, but you didn't find out yet. It's maybe just, so you drop down to the galley when they really want the homemaker. Now they're not excited because it's not even the set they want. So good luck even selling that customer, because really what they want is a homemaker, right? So now, yes, that's the perfect set. Okay. And hey guys, just shoot me straight. I mean, 265, is that something you guys could budget if you really wanted to? You say it exactly like that. Is that something you guys could budget if you really wanted to? Well, Colin, seriously, I know like maybe we could if we wanted to, but like that's way more money than we want to spend today. All right, awesome. Now I know they want the homemaker, and now I need to find a better deal on the homemaker, or I need to throw in more free stuff, or however you guys do it. I need to call a manager and say, hey, I'm working with this couple. I call right in front of them, right? Hey, I'm working with Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and they really want the homemaker. They just said it's a little bit more money they can spend. And they're really awesome people. Like they said they needed knives, and we've been working together here for an hour. I mean, is there anything we can do to drop this price and help them get it today? And then you're good. So you've now gotten them what they want. Now, sometimes, hey, it's way out of our range. Like we can't even fathom spending $1,300 in knives today, Colin. Like no way. Like we want it, but no way. I'm still going to try the drop down and try to do a better price. But then sometimes like, okay, hey, well, do you want me to just show you something a little bit smaller that might fit your budget and needs a little bit better? And then what I'm doing, if you drop down from a set, let's say they wanted the homemaker, but they no way they can afford it. You offered a better price. Then what I'm doing is I'm selling them off of the homemaker, because I don't want them to still want the homemaker and then tell me, well, if we're going to do it, we're just going to get the set we want. Like if you guys have ever encountered that, that sucks. Like, oh, well, if we're going to do it, we're just going to get the signature. We're not going to get one trimmer and blah, blah, and like you're backed in a corner now, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convince them that they don't want the homemaker anymore, because we're on a galley and they're never going to buy the homemaker today anyway, right? So now I'm like, well, okay, seriously, guys, here's the thing. People get the homemaker and they never use their carving knife or their carving fork and their big old butcher. Do you even need a big old butcher knife like this anyway? They're like, no, we don't. I'm like, here's the awesome thing. This set has everything that you'll actually use and want every day, and it gets it under $1,000. Literally, you're dropping the price by $300, $350. So let me show you this set. It's perfect. This is what everybody wants. If you want to upgrade later, you always can, and you still get 6 of our little table knives with it. And I'll tell you what, because you guys were so awesome, like I just want to do something special for you. I'll still let you get those free shears with it. Just promise me that when you buy more Cutco, I'm your person, okay? And that's usually how I do it. So when you're dropping down, you need to identify what is it. It's either the wrong set or the wrong price. It's not a husband. Like it's never, I need to talk to my spouse. That is a false lie. And it's never true. And if someone convinces you of that's true, you've missed something. It's just that they don't feel comfortable spending the money right now. It's just, that's the easiest excuse they can think that you can't say anything to. They don't want to admit that they're broke or that they don't have it, right? They're just not comfortable spending that right now. So like it all boils down to those 2 objections.
Dude, Colin, I can't thank you enough for your time, dude. I know you were only going to give us 15 minutes, and to give us 30 is such a great gift. And I know you got to get back on the road. And by the way, to that point, what he just said, he was on a trip for 5 days in Dominican Republic. That's a company trip, right? I mean, you got a chance to run that with hard work from last year. So For those of you guys that are motivated and excited to level up your game, people that Colin coaches, he coaches people that want to up level to 100 to 200 or 1,000 or more for the year that you want to sell. That means you're going to put yourself in a position to make $50,000 to $100,000 or more for the year. If you're in that position, Colin would coach you. Obviously, he would charge. He charges a fee. Of course, he's not going to do it for free. He's a nice guy, but he's not that nice. But here's what's cool about this is you would go on a company trip just like he just went on, where you go for 5 days to a tropical location with other badasses just like Colin. So
yeah, there was 150 of us on that trip. It was amazing. And just to highlight on that, it's not necessarily, coaching is something fun. Like, I'm willing to talk to anybody. Okay. It's not like I like to help anybody. When I was coming up in Cutco, I used to reach out a lot and have a lot of free help, and it's all gravy. But, if you're looking at Quantum Leap, your business, I had a lot of success with who I coached. I coached 2 All-Americans last year. Tyler Kaplan won a Silver Cup. People have had a lot of success when they're in the right mindset. So, I appreciate you building that up. And if you guys want to have a conversation about it, I'm open-minded. You don't have to think that you can sell 100. Tyler Kaplan sold 40,000 the year before last year. And then he sold 176 last year. That's thinking abundantly. So you don't have to think you can. You just have to, believe. So I'm open-minded to talking.
Well, we appreciate it, Colin. Thank you so much. The Game Changers appreciate you. And I can't thank you enough, man. Drive safe. Enjoy your travels. And we'll connect soon, okay?
All right. I'm putting my email in the group chat. So if you guys want to reach out, go ahead and send me an email. I'm happy to talk.
Oh, much appreciated, brother. That's really nice of you.